Did you know that if you Google interesting Luxembourg facts, the result is just a page that says no?
It's funny because I wouldn't be surprised if it were true. You know what? Let's learn something about Luxembourg. That's better. Now, you probably don't know all that much about Luxembourg, and I guess it's kind of fair. I mean, after all, it's a little landlocked country right between Germany, Belgium, and France, whose population is barely twice that of the amount of people subscribed to knowing better. However, this little country has quite a lot to offer, actually. Being smack dab right between Belgium, France, and Germany, Luxembourg has 3 official languages: French, German, and their own language, a Germanic language called Luxembourgish. What is Luxembourgish? Well, here's what it looks like on a sign. Here's what it looks like on another sign. Here's what it looks like to the doors of a Burger King. And here's what it looks like on a manhole cover. Looks a little bit like German, right? Well, don't say that out loud. They don't really appreciate that very much. Now, what language did you actually brush up on before coming here? Well, German works perfectly fine, and I would assume English would too. But in reality, the language I would actually recommend you learn before coming here is actually French. Though perhaps unexpectedly when it comes to demographics, 18% of Luxembourg's population is actually Portuguese, and Luxembourgish radio will actually play Portuguese songs at times to accommodate for this. Now, Luxembourg is officially known as the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, or Großherzogtum Luxembourg, this thing in Luxembourgish, this thing in French, and Großherzogtum Luxembourg in German. Yeah, try to guess which language I actually studied. Luxembourg is actually the world's very last Grand Duchy, which means in this case that their head of state is Grand Duke Henri. Now, why does Luxembourg have a Grand Duke? Actually, why are they even a separate country? Why aren't they a part of France, Belgium, or Germany? Well, first off, be very careful when asking that question because people don't generally like to hear that question. Second, Luxembourg was established after the acquisition of Luxembourg, where a fort was established in 963. A town developed there shortly after, and it became a duchy under the House of Luxembourg, 3 members of which even reigned as emperors of the Holy Roman Empire. And of course, the Holy Roman Empire was made up of a bunch of other small kingdoms and city-states, so Luxembourg didn't really stand out that much. Eventually, they didn't have a male heir though, so they sold out the fortress to Philip the Good of Burgundy, who I've heard was a pretty chill dude. After Napoleon steamrolled through Europe so hard he basically bulldozed the Holy Roman Empire, the Congress of Vienna established Luxembourg as a Grand Duchy within the German Confederation. However, Luxembourg and the Netherlands, because European history never completely makes sense, became part of a personal union, where King William I of the Netherlands was also Grand Duke William I of Luxembourg, though he ruled Luxembourg as if it were a province of the Netherlands and not as a separate country that he still led. Imagine what it would look like if personal unions were still a thing today.
Also, wir stimmen zu, dass Kanada jetzt ein Teil von Deutschland wird, aber es gibt hier ein Problem. Sprechen Sie etwas Deutsch?
No, sorry about that.
Nein,
about that.
Kein größeres Problem. Nur lernen Sie etwas Deutsch und versuch's nochmal.
Okay, yeah. I just didn't want to be the 51st state in the United States. Feels a bit too cliché.
Ja, das kann ich verstehen. Willkommen in Deutschland.
It should perhaps also be mentioned that Luxembourg was a lot bigger back then, but by the 1830s that quickly became not so true, once a lot of that territory was ceded to Belgium's Luxembourg region. So basically it's a holdover of the old Holy Roman Empire. How cool is that? Now, technically, Luxembourg actually likes to fly 2 flags. Now, first up, there's their normal flag, which you will see if you go to any international events featuring Luxembourg. However, it looks kind of like that of the Netherlands, and possibly in recognition of that, Luxembourgers also may like to fly this flag, which is definitely kind of more interesting. It definitely does scream, hey, look at us, we're not the Netherlands. In the European Union, there's an area called the Schengen Area, which comprises most of the European Union other than the British Isles, and all the countries still yet to join, but also includes most of the microstates and even Switzerland. Seriously, they got Switzerland to participate in that. You know how much work you have to put in to get Switzerland to participate in something? Schengen is an international agreement between most of the member states of the European Union to basically not have border checks with each other. Obviously, you still need to go through customs when going in or out of the Schengen area itself, but no passport or visas are needed to go from, say, Germany to Luxembourg. In an immigration sense, the whole bloc kind of acts as one huge super country. The word Schengen, however, didn't just come out of nowhere. It was actually named after the town in southeastern Luxembourg, along the tri-point border with France and Germany, where the Schengen Agreement was first signed in 1985. Luxembourg has been a very active member of the EU since the very beginning, which is nice because people would probably have noticed the gap in the map. Gap in the map. Luxembourg was one of the 6 founding members of the European Coal and Steel Community in 1951, basically an alpha version of the EU, and 6 years later became a founding member of the European Economic Community, and then the European Union itself once the full release came out. They were also one of the first countries to become part of the Eurozone and the Schengen Area, though the latter's probably not that surprising. Along with Brussels and Strasbourg, Luxembourg is even one of the main administrative centers of the European Union itself. And let's be honest, it's so much nicer than Brussels. Luxembourg City is even home to the European Court of Auditors and the EU Court of Justice. Basically, Luxembourg's one of those countries that, really likes the EU. So if you haven't been to Luxembourg, you know what? Why not? It's seriously a very charming little country. So do be warned, you should definitely prepare to be climbing some hills if you're here though. And it would probably also be a good idea to brush up on your French a little bit. Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe to learn something new every Yep, okay, I'll just let the video thumbnails cover my face. Alright, there we go. Yeah, perfect. Also, I just set up an official KhAnubis Discord server where you can go log on and talk with me and your fellow subscribers about the world and stuff like that in my videos. For those of you who care, the link is of course in the description.